So this guy, Fat Brix, he was addicted to comfort. He was addicted to pleasure and anything that made him uncomfortable, whether that was an emotion, if he was dealing with really challenging emotions, whether that was his partner was challenging him, whether any sort of challenge that life was dishing to him at the moment, his reflexive response to challenge was to try to escape. Now, this is very human, and a lot of us do this very same thing. But this habit and this need to escape uncomfortable emotions is the reason why we binge eat. This is the reason why we emotionally eat, right? We stress eat, whatever you want to label it. But I want to tell you, there is a solution to this. You can defeat emotional eating. You can defeat binge eating. But the first step is understanding what is going on. You have to develop the awareness. You have to do the work to see what's going on beneath the surface. Because a lot of the time, the information, the emotions that inspire us to eat this way are trapped in our subconscious. We don't see it. It's in our shadows. So the first step is to develop the awareness. Now let's put a pin in that point right there, because I want to talk to you about how to develop the awareness. The first thing you need to do is to develop a habit of intentional self-reflection. Now, with my We Are God's group coaching program, we do this every day. I text my clients every single day and I ask them to reflect on their day. I give them specific questions to give them an opportunity to just sit with themselves and think about the choices they made today. Think about their emotions. Think about how they responded to certain things and certain triggers and how they were motivated to eat. What was their motivation like to exercise? Just taking an opportunity regularly to ask yourself these questions. Because a big part of getting control of emotional eating and binge eating is to identify the triggers, to identify the patterns. And the more you can familiarize yourself with the triggers and the patterns, because then you're armed to make better choices because you have the awareness.
So I'm sitting in my front yard editing this video, and I wanted to give you guys a quick story that explains the importance of understanding your triggers and recognizing your patterns. So now Fat Brix had multiple triggers for binge eating, for emotional eating in general, not just binge eating, but it can be something as small as sitting in a certain chair. Like after dinner, if I would go in the living room and sit in a certain chair, I associated that chair with eating dessert. So I noticed anytime I sat in that chair, I would automatically have a craving. And it was just that sitting in that chair was a trigger. Sometimes a trigger is having some sort of emotionally charged conversation with someone. It can be an argument. It can be an email from your boss that creates anxiety, and this anxiety creates this craving in your body for some sort of escape from the emotion that you're feeling. Start paying attention to what triggers your cravings or what triggers your binging episodes. And the more you can gather the information and learn more about the triggers and the patterns, you're now in the position of power. You now have the ability to navigate these situations because you understand what causes the emotional eating. You understand what causes the binging. Now let's finish this video.
So understand this, most of the time, the urge to binge eat is just you trying to find a way to cope with your emotions. It's a coping mechanism. It's a way to temporarily escape what you're feeling. Now, let me talk to men real quick. I know there's men and women who watch this channel, but for the men, we've been taught that it's not okay to feel our emotions. And listen, we got to throw that idea away. If you want to defeat binge eating, if you want to get control of your emotional eating, you have to first accept your emotions. Look at them, recognize them, learn them, understand them deeply. You have to understand and acknowledge your emotions if you want to heal this stuff in order to change your eating patterns, to change your relationship with food. Now, journaling is a powerful tool for that. And this is another thing that I do with my group coaching program. Shout out to my We Are God's group coaching clients. You guys, I'm so grateful for you and the amount of feedback that I've been getting from the group. I want to thank you guys for allowing me to guide you through this very important journey, because we got to do this together. We have to do this together. So back to emotional regulation. So I want to give you guys practical advice here. I don't want to just talk philosophy about this stuff, right? But I want you to understand that you kind of have to know this stuff in order for the practical advice to make sense. So bear with me. So when Fabrice used to feel these negative emotions, right? He would feel triggered. He would feel stress. He would feel sadness, whatever he was feeling. I never developed the skills to regulate my emotions because I would always just escape them with food. So if you want to get control of your binge eating, of your emotional eating, you have to gather tools to help you regulate your emotions. Step 1, identify the emotions. Build awareness, emotional awareness. Step 2, start to implement strategies to help you regulate your emotions. I use journaling. I use breath work. I use taking a walk around the block. Now, I want to be really practical in my advice here. Once I recognized, right, once my awareness kicked in that I was in a moment where I was feeling tempted to overeat, right, to binge eat, the first thing I didn't do was to deny myself. That never works. Don't show up to that moment trying to wrestle with the urge because you'll never win. You'll never win. What you have to do is negotiate with yourself. First part of that negotiation, forgiveness. You forgive yourself for whatever you're feeling. You release whatever guilt and shame that you feel. You literally acknowledge that you're feeling it and you tell yourself, I release it. It's the first step. You have to release any sort of guilt or shame, because all guilt and shame does is perpetuate the issue. It makes the issue feel even bigger and makes the moment feel more dramatic. So whatever it looks like for you, in the moment where you recognize that you're tempted to binge eat, give yourself some love and accept how you're feeling. Release any judgment that you have over what you're feeling. First step. The next step, delay your response, right? Delay your reaction to the urge to binge eat. Once you master the awareness and you're like, okay, boom, I'm in a moment where I'm feeling tempted to binge eat. I know I have a half a gallon of ice cream in the freezer. I want to go get that half gallon of ice cream. I want to sit on the couch and I want to binge watch Netflix. And I'm going to eat that whole half gallon of ice cream. Before you allow yourself to walk to the freezer, I want you to insert something else in the middle. For me, it was taking a walk around the block 2 times. I made a deal with myself. I said, hey, I identify the emotion. You're feeling sad, Brix. You want to go grab that half gallon of ice cream in the freezer. But before I allow you to do that, you got to take 2 laps around the block. And it wasn't about exercise. It was about finding something else to do to delay my reaction to the urge to binge eat. And hopefully that will help me regulate my emotions. The first time I did it, it didn't help. I walked around the block twice. I came back and I still ate the ice cream. But that was a win. And I just built the habit of making sure I did something, whether that's calling a friend, whether that's doing a breathwork exercise for 2 minutes, whether that's taking that walk around the block. I started to build the habit of whenever I noticed that I was in a moment where I was feeling tempted to binge eat, I would have to do one of those things. And what happened over time, the thing that I would do, the walk, the phone call, watching an episode of Friends, instead of trying to do something to distract my mind from the urge, trying to do something else that will help me regulate my emotions, right? Bring me back to homeostasis, bring my heart rate down, get me out of that triggered state. Over time, that started working. I would notice after I took my walk around the block 2 times, the urge to binge eat would just go away. But it took time and consistency. It takes time, guys. And it's more so about developing the habit, right? Develop the awareness and then develop the habit of not denying yourself, but to put a step or barrier in between you into the temptation. I go deep into this stuff with my group coaching program, the We Are Gods group coaching program. The next group starts on Monday. I only allow 10 people in at a time. Right now, I think there are 7 spots available. Click the link in the description to find more information. If you want me to reach out to you personally, if you feel like you need support with this sort of thing, I want you to comment your Instagram name below. And I will shoot you a DM because I want to help you, but only if you are ready. Only if you are ready. So understanding the connection between your mental health, your emotional health, and your eating habits, your tendencies to overeat, to binge eat, to emotionally eat, you have to understand it. Again, the first step is awareness. Guys, if that was helpful, please give me feedback. If you have questions, about any of these sort of topics, I want to know your questions. Put it in the comment section below. And as always, remember, the body that you want is owned by a higher version of yourself. So evolve. Peace.